Hello, you're watching QPVN News. I'm Anh Tuấn, and here's the headlines. Vietnam-Cuba strengthen defense ties. Vietnam, Republic of Korea enhance air defense air force cooperation. A person who preserves Vietnamese culinary culture. On September the 26th local time at the Revolutionary Palace in Havana, General Secretary and President Tô Lâm held talks with Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez, First Secretary of the Communist Party of Cuba Central Committee and President of Cuba. He also met with Cuban Prime Minister Manuel Marrero Cruz and President of the National Assembly of People's Power of Cuba, Esteban Lazo Hernandez. During the discussions with Díaz-Canel Bermúdez, both leaders expressed satisfaction with the positive development of bilateral relations across various levels and fields. They highlighted the historical and cultural similarities between Vietnam and Cuba, as well as their shared path towards socialism, and a bond nurtured by President Ho Chi Minh and Commander-in-Chief Fidel Castro over the years. At the talks, General Secretary and President Tô Lâm informed First Secretary Díaz-Canel Bermúdez that Vietnamese government and people donated 10,000 tons of rice to the Cuban people, alongside a donation of 500 computers from the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam to the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cuba. Additionally, the Vietnam General Confederation of Labor and Vietnam's localities provided gifts to the Cuban Workers' Center. In discussions with Prime Minister Marrero Cruz, General Secretary and President Tô Lâm expressed optimism about the continued strengthening of political, foreign, and defense relations between Vietnam and Cuba. During his meeting with President of the National Assembly of People's Power of Cuba, Esteban Lazo Hernandez, the two sides reached consensus on key directions to enhance parliamentary cooperation, contributing to the deepening of the special friendship and comprehensive partnership between Vietnam and Cuba. Within the framework of the state visit to Cuba by General Secretary and President Tô Lâm and the high-ranking delegation of Vietnam on September the 26th local time in the capital city of Havana, General Phan Van Giang, Minister of National Defense, held talks with Corps General Alvaro Lopez Miera, Minister of Cuban Revolutionary Armed Forces. Sharing about difficulties and challenges that Cuba is confronting, the Cuba Corps General expressed thanks to Vietnam for its support. He hoped that the two militaries would continue maintaining and accelerating cooperation in fields that both sides have potential and needs, contributing to strengthening the special friendship between the two countries and militaries. Both sides agreed that defense cooperation is always one of the pillars in the Vietnam-Cuba relations, based on the agreement reached by the two ministers during the Cuban minister's visit to Vietnam in June last year. The ties have been actively promoted in such areas as delegation exchanges at all levels, party and political work in military, training, defense industry, military technical services, and cybersecurity. To develop the bilateral defense ties in an intensive, practical, and effective manner, the two sides agreed to enhance delegation exchanges, experience sharing, collaboration in party and political work, especially the implementation of celebration activities to mark 65 years of the diplomatic ties in 2025. They also agreed to foster effective cooperation in military technical services, defense industry, and human resources training. The two ministers stressed that in the context that regional and global situations are developing quickly, complicatedly, and unpredictably, the two countries and militaries should consolidate and promote solidarity and mutual support. They believed that with the achievements and close attention and direction from the two ministries' leaders, the bilateral defense ties would reach a new height. On September the 27th in Hanoi, the Chinese embassy in Vietnam held a ceremony to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the founding day of the People's Republic of China and Ambassador He Wei's beginning of his term in Vietnam. The event saw the attendance of Deputy Prime Minister Trần Hồng Hà, along with leaders of Vietnamese ministries, departments, agencies, and foreign representative agencies in Vietnam. Ambassador He Wei expressed his joy at taking office as the 19th ambassador of China to Vietnam and affirmed that China is willing to work with Vietnam to implement the common perception of the two parties' senior leaders, inherit and promote the traditional friendship, join hands to consolidate the cause of building socialism, firmly promote the building of a China-Vietnam community of shared future with strategic significance, continuously develop in depth, substantially and effectively, bring better benefits to the two countries and peoples, as well as promote peace and development in the world. On September the 27th, Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Tân Cương, Chief of the General Staff, Deputy Minister of National Defense, received General Lee Yong-soo, Chief of Staff of the Republic of Korea Air Force. Chief of the General Staff Nguyễn Tân Cương acknowledged the achievements in cooperation between the two countries' air forces. General Lee Yong-soo hoped that the Vietnamese Ministry of National Defense and Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Tân Cương personally would continue to pay attention to and promote cooperation between the two air forces, contributing to promoting the ties between the two countries and the two defense ministries. Earlier, the high-ranking delegation of the Republic of Korea Air Force visited and held talks with the leaders of the Air Defense Air Force Service. The two sides reviewed the results of bilateral cooperation over the past time while discussing potential cooperation contents. On September the 27th, a conference was held to review the preparations for the Gala of Political Work and Young Officers Exchange between the Vietnamese and Lao militaries. The meeting was chaired by Senior Lieutenant General Hoàng Xuân Chiến, Deputy Minister of National Defense. The gala serves as a highlight of the second Vietnam-Laos Border Defense Friendship Exchange. The event is set to be broadcast live on VTV1 on October the 22nd. Under the theme Steadfast in Trust, the program will focus on exchanges between representatives from Sơn La Province, leaders and young military officers of the Vietnam Border Guard Command and the Lao Border Protection Forces. The Deputy Minister asked relevant agencies of the Ministry of National Defense to closely coordinate with Vietnam Television to make the gala a success. Vietnam and Japan need to continue to strengthen cooperation in military education and training. That was discussed in a meeting between Senior Lieutenant General Phạm Hoài Nam, Deputy Minister of National Defense, and President of the National Defense Academy of Japan, Kubo Fumiaki, on September the 27th. Senior Lieutenant General Phạm Hoài Nam said that cooperation in education and training is a bright spot in Vietnam-Japan ties and defense cooperation. He also thanked the Japanese Ministry of Defense for annually providing scholarships to officers of the Vietnam People's Army at the Academy. He hoped that the Japanese side would continue to facilitate exchanges and training collaboration between the military academies and schools of both countries. For his part, the guest was glad to see that Vietnamese trainees who return home after their study in Japan have successfully applied their knowledge to effectively fulfill their duties, becoming bridges to foster the bilateral ties. He also agreed that the two sides need to further strengthen delegation exchanges between military academies and schools. Coming up next, Thailand 2024 opens in Da Nang. A person who preserves Vietnamese culinary culture. On September the 27th, the VIET Thailand 2024 conference was held in Da Nang. The event was organized by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in coordination with the Thai Consulate General in Ho Chi Minh City and the Da Nang People's Committee. The conference drew more than 300 delegates, including leaders from various central ministries, representatives from provinces in the central and southern regions, and executives from companies in both countries. It centered on two key topics: sustainable tourism development and strengthening investment connectivity, along with supply chain integration. The participants engaged in discussions on strategic solutions to enhance involvement in the supply chain network, thereby promoting both the production and consumption of goods, positioned as a vital gateway to the sea within the East-West Economic Corridor. Da Nang aspires to become a premier logistics service hub for ASEAN and the Asia-Pacific region. Cuisine is not only the art of preparing dishes, but also a bridge connecting people and the traditions, history and culture of each region. Chef Đặng Đình Mạnh, who is passionate about Vietnamese culinary culture, clearly understands this. With his love and tireless dedication, he has been bringing Vietnamese flavors to international friends. For him, each dish has its own story. It is also a way to introduce and promote Vietnamese culture to the world, so that international friends can enjoy and feel the soul of the nation through each flavor.
Despite his majors in information technology at Hanoi University of Science and Technology and business administration at the Vietnam University of Commerce, Đặng Đình Mạnh decided to switch to and stick with traditional cuisine and culinary culture to pursue his passion. In 2022, he was honored to be the instructor at the Culinary Talent Competition at the final round of Miss Tourism World held in Vietnam with chả cá lăng, or grilled catfish, and catfish porridge. In addition, he also participated in promoting traditional dishes in cultural exchange events between Vietnam and other countries held in Hanoi.
Mình rất là may mắn.
I was very lucky to be the main instructor for the contestants in the talent competition. It was the first time that I had made Vietnamese traditional dishes with the contestants from other countries. Each contestant has a media team, so Vietnamese food and culture can be introduced to viewers through them. I was very happy to join hands in promoting Vietnamese tourism, culture, and cuisine to the world. The ingredients he chose were mostly typical agricultural products of Vietnamese localities to create special flavors. In his meetings with international customers and partners, Chef Mạnh not only introduces the dishes, but also talks about the origin, meaning, and quintessence of each ingredient. For him, promoting Vietnamese cuisine to the world is not only a job, but also a way to contribute to the country, expressing his patriotism and pride in the national cultural heritage. When introducing traditional Vietnamese cuisine to international friends, I felt so proud and happy. The culinary culture of each country is an extremely important factor. It shows the depth of history, people, and traditions of a country. Vietnam has had thousands of years of history and civilization, so we have many traditional dishes. Each dish tells a story about Vietnamese culture and people. So I also want to participate in the research, restoration, and promotion of traditional dishes. Behind those successes are many difficulties and challenges. Preserving and developing traditional cuisine in the area of integration requires perseverance, creativity, and determination. For Đặng Đình Mạnh, each difficulty is an opportunity to learn, develop, and improve. He always believes that, with his love for cuisine and pride in national culture, he can continue to spread the value of Vietnamese cuisine to all 5 continents.
This is the end of the QPVN News today. Remember to watch our news again at qpvn.vn. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now.